Women's World is proudly brought to you by Telecom PNG. Telecom PNG, always there.
Do you believe gender equality is prevalent here within our country within this day and age? As a woman, do you believe your opinions and views are taken into consideration or seen as important? Hello, I am Miriam Rakane and welcome to this episode of Women's World. On this episode, we will be exploring the issue of gender equality, an issue which is heavily advocated for by women activist groups here within the country and also by that of our government. Nevertheless, as Papua New Guineans, we cannot deny the fact that our cultures and traditions heavily influence the way we see and do things. The hope for women here within the country is that they have their rights upheld, that equal opportunities also be given to them, just as opportunities that are offered to men, and that they also be treated fairly as human beings. I will be sharing with you views from individuals together with that of different organizations on what gender equality is, together with the types of challenges faced when addressing this issue.
Gender equality is defined as the different behavior and aspirations where the needs of women and men are considered, valued, and favored equally. Hence, that does not mean that women and men have to become the same, but that their rights, responsibilities, and opportunities will not depend on whether they are born male or female. According to UNESCO, women form more than two-thirds of the world's 750 million adults without basic literacy skills. The encouragement should be that women and men must enjoy equal opportunities, choices, capabilities, power, and knowledge as equal citizens. Therefore, equipping girls and boys, women and men with the knowledge, values, attitudes, and skills to tackle gender differences as is a necessity to building a sustainable future for all.
I'm Captain Philip Polewara. Captain in the Navy is like a colonel equivalent to the Army. I'm the Chief of Staff, and my main role is, as per the Defense Act, is I coordinate policy for the organization, meaning the PNG Defense Force. It is a government's national policy, and Papua New Guinea Defense Force is a equal gender or equal opportunity organization for employment. So there is no discrimination between the two sexes, either male or female. But it is up to the people that apply. And they have the grades and they come through the process. They meet the grades or they come in, either for officer cadet or for general enlisted training. The women play some very key and important roles in the military. We are looking only in regard to gender within Papua New Guinea context, but if you go out in other cultures, we have all read about what happened in Afghanistan or in the Middle East. There are cultures where the men will have to take the backseat when we are dealing with women and children in those cultures. So women play a very, very important role in terms of military operations, either national disaster or other military operations other than war. There are many challenges, but the current ones that we are facing, we are taking in recruits, and then after they come through the training establishments, either at Igam Barracks, which is now a joint forces college with the police and the correctional services, and those who come out from Goldie, that is a training period. And then after they complete that period successfully, either 3 years at Igam Barracks or 6 months, 3 to 6 months at Goldie, then we have to take them into service. And then when we take them into service, these are the things that the public don't realize. Like there will be special clothing, for the woman, living space, and work cycle that we go through. The men will have a different cycle. Women will have a different work cycle. Whether we are deployed in the field, the biological calendar is different. These are the things that is the reality. These are the things that as you understand that we are a Melanesian culture. These are some of the things that we have to accept. As you will see that most of the command structure of the PNG Defence Force is male dominated. And these are some of the things that though it is against our cultural taboos, but we will have to accept that that is the reality. And we now have women in the force, and we have to make ways, make avenues to manage and cater for women in the force. All roles can be performed by both genders. And then there's something that not only in Papua New Guinea, all nations who now have women in the force, that we still have to be, a policy has to be made. There were women, female, already deployed to operations like in the highlands, in other disasters like the Kadawar, the Manam eruption. There's women who are employed, in various capacities. But to allow women into combat is something that it will have to be decided at a higher level. Papua New Guinea Defence Force is a equal opportunity organization for employment. Let's put the past behind, Papua New Guinea or Melanesian society, the masculine attitude. Don't fear the male. If you have the grades, please, give it a go. There are so many things that, the females can do. Like you will see that the medical profession is one of the fields that is dominated by women in the PNGDF, and even the legal field. And these were the two fields that were our women made a breakthrough into the force. The two first females that entered the force through the legal profession and the medical profession. Like in every nation, when we take in women, there are challenges, but don't be scared. Together, we can progress. But progress will come in very, very small amounts, but that is progress. And we are very proud to have women in the force. Other countries have women in the force, and like when we go overseas, when we see them, like they have a woman in the force who can do this, can do that. And then when we come back, we say, why can't our women come into the force and be like them? But now we have women in the force, so they come in, and the encouragement is progress up the ladder. We had, I think, 2 months ago, we promoted our first ever in the force history of the force, the first female NCO. She's now a sergeant. And I think this is one of those that I think in some of your line of duty, I think you will come across her. Yeah. Don't be scared. It's a friendly organization. Come in and wear the uniform, whether it's the Navy, Army, Air Force, or the supporting elements of the Papua New Guinea Defence Force. It's a duty of the highest order that either female or male, that you can, give back to your country, to your people. Somebody has to, make a sacrifice for our people to live and prosper. And if they choose, or if you choose, very welcome. There are challenges, but it's very exciting. Future is very exciting.
You are watching Women's World. Please stay with us as we have more when we return. Welcome back. Being a Christian nation, we believe that men are seen as heads of the family. Also to note that our cultures and traditions place men in leading roles such as those of being chiefs, as being leaders of tribes and clans, therefore empowering the idea that men are more capable of taking the lead in certain tasks than women. However, within this day and age, women participation is very much needed, as this will lead to better decision-making within our society. But at least this is what I think. What are your views in regards to gender equality?
According to the Human Development Indices and Indicators of 2018 statistical report, Papua New Guinea has a gender inequality index value of 0.74, therefore ranking it 159 out of 160 countries in the 2017 index. In Papua New Guinea, 0.0% of parliamentary seats are held by women, and 9.5% of adult women have reached at least a secondary level of education, compared to 15.0% of their male counterparts. This issue of gender equality has constantly come to light, especially here within Papua New Guinea recently, in regards to the allocating of 22 reserved seats for women in national parliament. Where women form 48.9% of the population, the need for more women participation is needed and is being supported.
I'm Father Ambrose Pereira, CBC Social Communications and Youth Secretary. We are dealing with this topic on the male, the female, and the understanding of how we can relate to each other positively. And this passage from Scripture comes to mind, Genesis 1:27. God has created us in His own image and likeness. Now, what is this image and likeness? God is all perfect. You and me, as male and female, or as persons, we are striving to be like God. We will never be perfect, but every day of our lives, we need to strive to be God-like. And that's God has created us in His image and likeness, and we strive to be like God. Coming to marriage, male and female, and the two shall become one. They are no longer two, but one flesh. And now once we talk about one flesh, we are speaking about a physical union. But before this physical union, we have the emotional connection, we have the psychological connection, we have the person that needs to be connected before this physical union. Now, this physical union and the celebration of love in marriage is a celebration where two persons celebrate love. And we need to understand that we are not making love. You go to a factory and you make love, you make a product. But we are not making something, we are celebrating love. And in this celebration, there should be joy for both persons. Joy for the wife and joy for the husband. And this will come when all the other aspects are also understood and put into practice. There is a lot of understanding, forgiveness, fidelity, commitment, sacrifice, respect. And all these are very essential if there has to be a celebration. Because in this celebration, there is joy. Joy for both parties. And persons celebrating joy will always be happy. And they will be happy in themselves, they will be happy with each other, and they will radiate this happiness in their families and in the community. And that's what we understand by marriage and the sacrament of marriage, a commitment for life. Finally, I'd like to come to this submission of the wife to the husband, and Ephesians 5:2. And we have to understand these two differences. One, the significance of marriage. We've highlighted a little bit on marriage, but what is this spiritual or theological aspect? One flesh, one bond, one union. And we like to go to God Himself. So God the Father, God the Son, God the Spirit. God the Father has created the world. From Him comes the Redeemer, the Son, who redeems the world. And from the Father and the Son emanate the Spirit, the Sanctifier, present in our world today. Now this Trinity is a mystery, and we cannot understand it. Christ and His church. Christ is the head, the church is the body, and Christ and the church are one. Christ, of course, is the head of the church. The roles are different, but they are one. Another mystery. The bond of marriage is another mystery, and that mystery should be lived out in life. So marriage, this analogy between Christ and this church, Christ and the head, and the marriage relationship is not one of dominance, where I am the master, I am the Lord, I tell you, you do. It's a relationship of love between a beloved and the lover, the one who's being loved. So these two persons relate to each other in a bond that is very peaceful and very joyful. Marriage brings out the best in each other. So the husband strives to bring out the best in the wife. The wife strives to bring out the best in the husband. So it's not in competition, it's a complementary role. We know that male and female are different and they strive to build on each other. So persons need to feel loved. So the wife needs to feel loved and the husband needs to be respected. And so they are given each other and each one has to give each other the space. And in that marriage bond, which is a commitment for life and there is fidelity, both husband and wife must be sure that they're going to be committed to each other for the rest of their life. No matter where they go, how far they are from each other, whether they have met each other for weeks or months, they will be faithful to each other. That's something sad that we realize is not happening to quite a big number of couples. There's a lot of infidelity. And when there is infidelity, there can be no trust. And when there is no trust, there's a lot of domination, abuse, violence, and a destruction of the person. And that image of God is destroyed. I'd like to wish all our families and all our couples, young men, young women who are thinking of relationship, first of all, don't enter into a relationship until you are academically qualified and financially stable. The responsibility of bringing up children is yours. It doesn't belong to your parents or to your relatives. You father a child, you are responsible to ensure that you are a good father, that you are a good mother. And you bring up the values. And in that home and that family where there is love and acceptance and respect, the children grow up and grow up well. And this is what we hope for Papua New Guinea, that families can grow up, that young people can grow up, and the cycle of domination and abuse can be broken. And perhaps it can only be broken by young people.
Please stay with us as we have more about gender equality after the break.
Apart from a religious perspective, views from different individuals and from various organizations also share the same sentiments of the need for gender equality here within our country.
Concerning gender equality, especially for reserved seats for women in Parliament, I believe that women should not be given on a golden plate a reserved seat to be elected into Parliament. I believe that all women should work hard as men. If they reserve seats for women in PNG, it also gives out a message to ladies to be complacent and not to be as competitive as men. If we ever compare women to a man, then we basically make women inferior to men. There should be no comparison. Women should be women, men should be men. If a woman is elected into Parliament, then so be it.
I think women, they make up an integral part of all our societies today. And culturally, in this Melanesian society, men don't really involve women in decision making, and I believe there should be a change. And I think it's our culture that hinders that, and I believe that with education, if more people become educated and we are able to make awareness in the society and those, then we will be able to educate our men, and they'll be able to make a change in the way they treat women and all those. Yeah.
My name is Eunice Parua. I come from Western Highlands Province. I'm a lawyer by profession, and I am currently a partner here at Leilu and Lowing Sullivan Lawyers. The Constitution, as you and some of our viewers may know, is the supreme law of this country. So it is the basis of all other laws and policies of this nation. And the Constitution, in the beginning, we have a set of national goals and directive principles. And they're basically the goals that our country should be aiming towards. So they guide all persons in this country and all other laws and policies that are to be made. And there are 5 national goals, and the second national goal is equality and participation. So there are certain directive principles under each national goal. And for the second national goal, the first directive principle is that it calls for the equal opportunity for every citizen to take part in political, economical, and social, religious, and cultural way of life in this country. And but for more importantly, for the purposes of today's discussion, the directive principle number 5 under that national goal number 2 calls for the equal participation by women citizens in all political, economic, and social, as well as religious activities in this country. So our constitution basically calls for equal participation of whatever gender you are or whatever social status you are in society, basic equality amongst all of us. And it's also a basic right that everybody must have equal participation in the development of this country. We have to realize that we're all on the same team here. I mean, our laws already provide that we all are supposed to be equally participating in everything in society. And so it's a matter for us as Papua New Guinean citizens to kind of utilize that or actually practice what our laws ask us to do. Most of our laws don't discriminate between men and women. Women can hold property, they can have custody of children, they can be voted into parliament, rise up to executive levels. There are no laws that discriminate. And so our laws are good, and it's up to us to take gender equality as personally as possible and take it to the next level so that everyone in our country can contribute to the development of this country. I mean, each individual, we have 2 hands, 50-50. When you're trying to lift an object, you don't just use one hand, you use 2 hands so that you can share the weight of both hands. So gender equality is very important because 50-50, we can all bring this country forward and lift it up together. I think gender equality is a very important agenda in this country that should be pushed because of our cultural hurdles. I mean, I love my country and I love my culture and everything, but I mean, let's not lie here. We all know that women in this country, because of our largely patrilineal society, and that men dominate our society in culture. Although our laws, as I mentioned, provide that there should be equal participation, the reality of the fact is that men dominate our society. And that's, I think, because of the influence of our culture. And a clear depiction of that is how our current parliament, out of the 111 members of parliament, there's not one single woman in there, or even the levels of domestic violence in our country. I mean, domestic violence is a projection of power, essentially, and because it's at very high levels here in this country, you can see that men are projecting their power in society. So my hope is that one day we'll be able to achieve gender equality, allow women, both men and women, to have equal access to resources, equal access to opportunities, so we can develop this country, whether it's in the workplace or in parliament or in positions of power, or rise up in corporate entities, despite our culture. Because, as I mentioned earlier, we want to develop this country as much as each of us can, and we each should be allowed to contribute to each other, to the development of this country. So my hope is that despite our culture, we'll be able to achieve gender equality. We can have more confidence in women. I think both men and women need to have more confidence in women ourselves, more superior than another, I guess, putting aside our culture and recognizing that all our roles we're on the same team here, essentially. No one is each other's enemy or anything. We're a growing, developing nation, and we should work together to achieve gender equality so that we can achieve development in this country.
Thank you so much for your time. Unfortunately, we have now reached the end of our episode. If there is a story you would like to share with us, or if you would like to know more about our program, please do not hesitate to contact us via the link that is appearing on your screen now, and also by simply visiting our Facebook page. Until next time, I am Miriam Rakane. See you on the next episode of Women's World.
Women's World was proudly brought to you by Telecom PNG. Telecom PNG, always there.